he's the number 1 seed. Again, a guy who has been here before in the home run derby. I think his experience like that of Fielders will come in, and I think he will be playing Prince Fielder in the final, which would be a matchup that I would love to see.
All right, well, I've got the rookie battle, and this is where it gets hard. Now, my gut says Pedersen, but now I really want to pick Bryant.
Right.
I will go with Bryant once again, just for the sake of the storyline, and have the Cubs battle, which I think would be incredibly entertaining. I think seeing Pedersen versus Bryant, 2 rookies who are really in the they're competing with each other for the NL Rookie of the Year too. Yep. I think that would be a great matchup to see. So I'm going to go with Bryant. So that sets up Bryant versus Rizzo for me. You've got 2 veterans here. I've got 2 young guys. You've got Fielder and Pujols. Who do you got winning it?
This is tough. I think either one of these guys, I mean, depending on this extra time thing, who hits 476 feet could end up determining the winner, which I think is kind of a little screwed up. But yeah. I am going to pick Prince Fielder to win yet another home run derby. I think he'll be celebrating another home run derby win in All-Star Weekend, and he'll carry that celebration for the rest of the year by not caring about another game for the rest of the year.
I mean, he plays on a team that's not... I mean, they're playing, I guess, not as bad, but... you know what? I think... Oh, this is so tough. I think Chris Bryant uses his 145-second timeout and takes it as the 8 seed to get the massive upset. The 8 seed goes all the way. Why not? Why not? I'm feeling it. Chris Bryant takes it. We got another young guy. I don't know. Have we ever had a rookie win it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back.
Have we ever had 2 rookies in it, period?
Yeah, I know. And Cubs versus Cubs in the final. That's
that would be pretty...
It's a very bold prediction.
That would be very intriguing.
Although, if you nail this, you have to make this video go viral and tell everyone that you predicted this. Because I don't think anyone else in the world who filled out one of these brackets would have that.
All right. Also, by the way, which is also interesting, we're not going to get as many records. So going through the rules, if the second batter passes the first batter in home runs, the round will be stopped and he advances. So we're not going to get to see any ridiculous amount. Once he passes him, he's done. Which to a certain extent, I don't like, but at the same time, it'll conserve energy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but since when has the home run derby been about conserving energy? It's all about entertainment and Chris Berman going back. You know, I want to hear that as many times as I can.
Yeah. Also, 90-second swing off. The timer cannot stop, and no bonus can be claimed. And if they tie, then they're going to have a 3-swing swing-off after that.
See, this is just so complex. It's where did they think of this?
I know. You get an additional minute for hitting 2 home runs that exceed 420 feet. A home run greater than 475 feet is 30 seconds. And 2 bonuses are not mutually exclusive as well. That's another rule.
All I know is the rule explanation on this home run derby night is going to be probably longer than the home run derby itself.
Mm-hmm. And the timer will not start again after, let's see, when each batter gets 5 minutes when the timer starting with the first pitch is thrown. Home runs hit during the final minute will stop it. And the timer won't start again until he hits a non-home run or swings and misses.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I'm baffled by how complex this is.
I would love to make it so it doesn't stop, just to make hitters swing at everything.
Yeah, I would like that too.
That'd be a lot of fun to just watch him win.
Because in years past when you have watched the home run derby, in the first couple rounds when there's, what was the year? Matt Kemp. When Matt Kemp was in it, he hit like 1 home run.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that this in some ways makes it more entertaining, faster moving, so you can get more home runs. But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Before we move on, one last thing: who do you think is most likely to hit 0, 1, or 2 home runs?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me look at the field again.
Because I love that. It's so depressing, but at the same time, it's incredibly funny to watch.
I'm gonna go with Machado. Honestly, I don't think he's been in a. Has he been in a home run derby before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that this being his first home run derby. Not a power hitter, all eyes on him. You know, pressure to just hit bombs. I don't think he's that type of player. I would pick Machado.
I'm gonna go with the 3 seed. I'm gonna go with Josh Donaldson here.
Okay.
I just feel like you always get that player that like is really high. You know, he's a great home run hitter. Comes in and just never keeps hitting the wall or hits it foul. I think he'll go with 1, and I think he'll have 1 that's like a 5. I think he'll probably shatter like a home run record in terms of length, but go foul. That would be so unfortunate. A 670-foot home run goes foul.
That would be absurd.
All right, quickly. I mean, we don't know starting pitchers, but AL versus NL. I guess it matters. So, who do you got?
Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, since we don't know the starting pitchers yet, that's kind of a big thing. I mean, this is just a coin toss for me. I'm going to go with the Royal-dominated AL. Yeah, I mean, they got Miguel Cabrera, Mike Trout, Nelson Cruz, and then they have the Royals, Salvador Perez, Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Alex Gordon. I'm going to go with the AL. Hopefully they get the hot pitcher, because really the All-Star game and baseball in general comes down to pitching.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'll go with the AL. AL,
I may be changing to a Cubs fan, but I'm not ready to brace the NL quite yet. I will go with the Kansas City Royals in this one. I do think that they're going to win. I refuse. To be honest, that's what it is. I mean, Yost is the manager, too. So it's Royals versus NL, and I think the Royals will come away with the win here. For starting pitchers, I do hope Chris Sale gets the start, because if you want to see strikeouts, I mean, this is a guy who's breaking Randy Johnson's records. So that would be a lot of fun. I always think that's probably the best option. Don't go with the best pitcher. Go with the guy who throws Ks. You know, I say Sale versus Scherzer. I think Scherzer definitely is taking it for the NL. I mean, that guy's been
amazing. I think so too. Definitely.
But I'll go with the AL as well, meaning the AL will host it even if the team doesn't deserve it. So.
Well, that's what happened when the Red Sox won the World Series, right? The AL won that year, and then they were the wild card, and they got home field advantage.
I'll be honest. I think they should take the path of all the other teams and go away from that. Or if they want to make it, then you got to make it so the lineups are good. You got to actually do it. Not coaches pick, but you actually have to give them options. Like have analysts come in and choose it. Or you go to all the other sports systems. Unfortunately, that really has caused a lack of interest. So it's a tough choice.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's go to the NBA right now. Of course, they are in the off season. And we've got a couple of big signings that went down recently. Starting off with the Spurs, for the first time, I feel like ever, deciding not to draft somebody, instead to sign a free agent, to sign two.
Yeah, I know.
The thought of that is just so weird to me. It's so foreign. But they brought in LaMarcus Aldridge. It's not even they signed they signed David West also, but if they signed LaMarcus Aldridge, a guy who's a perennial all-star, and while he may not be, necessarily a LeBron James or a Carmelo Anthony, this guy is still an incredible player. And they brought him in to rejuvenate, go alongside who I still believe is their star, Kawhi Leonard. I think that'll be an intriguing team. What do you think of the move for the Spurs?
I mean, I look at the Spurs, I agree with you in that I'm used to not knowing about the Spurs until the playoffs come around, when they've been low-key the whole entire season, and Popovich is just winning games, and Duncan is just winning games. But, I mean, if you look at this offseason, the Spurs are the winners so far, and I think it's outright. Because you have LaMarcus Aldridge, who was, the center of that Portland team with Damian Lillard, and you have David West, who gave up $10 million.
Yeah.
He could have signed for $12 million in Indiana, 1.4 in San Antonio. He knows that something special is going on in San Antonio for this upcoming year. I think the Spurs, it's the Spurs and the Warriors that are the top two teams in the West, but as for off-season winners right now, it's no doubt San Antonio. I think that, re-signing Kawhi Leonard and Duncan, obviously those guys are getting old, but you have these younger players like David West and LaMarcus Aldridge to pick up the slack. I like what they're doing. I like it a lot.
I do. There are still some questions I have about them. I mean, they still got Reggie Williams technically starting at the shooting guard, which is something they're going to have to address. Still some stuff they got to address. But normally when I think of Spurs players, I think of random French international players coming in who are drafted. What I think will be interesting for them is because, like you said, they're always a low-key team. So the thing for me is how they'll respond to having a target on their back.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're going to have now. They don't get to sneak under the radar. They have put a massive target on their back by bringing in Aldridge. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
But I also think if you look at the year after they won the NBA championship, you could say that was them putting a target on their back too. Yeah. And although they didn't have as good of a season as they did the year they won, obviously, I think the Spurs-Clippers series was the best series of the NBA playoffs this past year. And, no matter what, I think that even with a target on their back, which you've mentioned, I think they'll win games. I have them, as of right now, and there's still a lot of time before the basketball season starts up again, but I have them, in the Western Conference Finals competing with the Golden State Warriors. I just think they have that good of a team, and Popovich has shown that he can win.
Yeah.
And these guys, they won't go away. After they won the NBA Finals, people were talking about Duncan retiring, and now he looks like he's able, or willing and able to lead a team to another possible championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people talk about. Bleacher Report, of course, coming out with the article about the Spurs. You're going to have to learn how to win quietly after doing that. I mean, you make a splash,
right.
It's really hard to do that. But it's important that they close out this offseason strong. You know, they did bring in depth. They brought in players that can start. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Tim Duncan, actually. Because they can choose to put Aldridge at small forward and either start Diaw or David West. They can choose to start Aldridge at the 4 and play Duncan at center, because this is a guy who is aging. So it'll be intriguing to see what they do. I mean, Duncan made the All-Star team, but once again, it's one of those All-Star games that wasn't necessarily a deserving one.
Right.
I think it's going to be very intriguing. At this moment, I'd still go with the Warriors. I think that the Warriors did what the Spurs did for most of their time. I think they drafted mostly. While they did trade for a few people, I think this is a team that is the complete package right now. I think they've got bench players. I think they've got the starting lineup down. I think the Spurs right now, which is something I'm not used to, they still lack a little bit of depth right now that they do have to go out and address. But a great start for the Spurs overall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, next up, a guy that I think the Spurs know pretty well, LeBron James, re-signed today for a pretty hefty $23.5 million a year. Around that, a little tiny bit under, but that's you know, it's not that big of a deal. Kevin Love comes in. I mean, for me, I'll take that extra little bit if he wants to give it to me. You know, that $400,000 a year are fine by me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kevin Love comes back as well. Cavaliers involved in a lot of other rumors, of course, trying to bring back Thompson. You've got the whole Joe Johnson saga, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. You've got Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith and all of this hubbub around them. You know, they are trying to regroup and win. Whether or not David Blatt will be back, I don't know. I don't think the Cavs can win with David Blatt. I don't think so. They don't respect David Blatt, so I just don't think that's a good fit for them. But they do bring them back. I don't know if there's much we can really say about this because we've already seen these two players on the same team. But something we can talk about: Greg Monroe joining the Bucks into the same division as the Cavs, already filled with the Bulls, with the Cavs. The Pistons now, I think, will go down a little bit, but you do have the Pacers, who will have Paul George back. It is a team that, you know, has been a little bit gutted, but it's still a team that works hard, and Paul George is still a stellar player. And the Bucks, a team that came in last year, ended up as the 6th seed, and now had a guy in Greg Monroe who's terrific. They re-signed Chris Middleton, so you're looking at a lineup with Michael Carter-Williams, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo. You've got Greg Monroe. Overall, just a very good team. Oh, Jabari Parker. I forgot to mention Jabari Parker will be back. So that'll be intriguing to see how that goes. Overall, just a really good young team. A deep team. They did just trade Zaza Pachulia, so it'll be interesting to see how they address that. But that's a lot of good players on a team. What do you think about the Bucks in this move and going forward?
I like the move. I like getting Greg Monroe. Obviously, that adds a lot of depth to their team and skill that they needed to become, you know, a contender. Because, as you said, if you look at their division, it's stacked. I mean, it is it is the best in the East. Because if you look at the Atlantic, you have the Celtics, Raptors, Nets, 76ers, Knicks, which is just an absolute joke. But then if you look at the Central, you've got the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the Cavaliers, obviously with LeBron James, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving. Then you have the Bulls, and then you have I think the Pacers will be a good team next year. I think the Pacers and Bucks will have to fight it out to get in the playoffs because I could see 3 or 4 teams making it from the Central. And yes, I think the Bucks are improving, but if you look at where they'll be, right, I don't see them finishing above the Bulls, obviously not above the Cavs. So I think they'll be in that 5 to 6 spot in the East for the playoffs, which is not really a spot you want to be in because then you're playing, you know, a 2 or a 3 in the first round. I think that the Bucks are moving in the right direction. I think there's still a couple players. I think there's still a big name or two. Obviously not like a LeBron James, Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant name, but I think they need a couple more players before they finally, you know, surpass the Bulls and, you know, can really compete in that Central division. Yeah,
and you saw it last year. They were down 3-0. They got 2 games, which was kind of more of that Bulls took their foot off the pedal, but this is still a team that needs a lot of development. Giannis is young. Jabari Parker still hasn't played in a playoff series after being injured. Michael Carter-Williams has turnover issues. Chris Middleton is also very young. Greg Monroe, he's barely appeared in the playoffs. Has the Pistons even made it while he's been there?
I don't think so.
I don't know. You know, this is a very young team that still lacks, I think, a little bit of the finishing touches. But I think this is a team that, you know, you look at it and they've got the talent, they've got the players to start building a future